Okay, today's the 9th, March 9th. Just chilling out for a minute while I'm cooking me up some Korean fried chicken. Believe it or not, it's another Kickstarter. Gas sold mix for Korean fried chicken on Kickstarter. But we'll see how it comes out. I'm not sure if I've ever had Korean fried chicken or not. You know, I eat so much shit. Just finished eating on the border chips here with the avocado dip from Costco. I love that stuff. It's got just a nice little bite and everything. So if I have a little chance, go do a little Reddit read today. My first thought, that female ex-police officer in Laverne, who, was servicing the department. Good for her. 5 officers got fired, plus the chief, and now she wants to be a victim. It's like that new South Park. Oh, I got to go look at it because it's probably out by now on HBO Max. You know, your X, your Y, your Z, victim. Talking about she was groomed. You can't groom a 24-year-old woman. You can groom a 14-year-old boy or girl, from what I can understand, because I ain't no groomed anybody. But no, you ain't grooming no damn 24-year-old woman. What's the grooming? Want to have sex? Sure. But anyway, she's like suing, federal lawsuit. And you know the biggest victim I see in all of this? The chief of police, because they fired his ass. He didn't even throw a dick up in her, and he's getting fired for it. Now, here's my thought on that one, and it's only on this one. I only thought about it just now. In the military, an officer is responsible for everything that happens in his command or her command. So in the military, they would have been fired. But police, they're not the military. They don't do that shit. They protect each other. And it's blowing me away that he didn't get protected. But again, in the military, you go down for that shit. Which then dovetails into the Chris Rock special from Netflix that just came out. I saw it. It was good as hell. And of course, he laid the last 5 minutes for Will Smith in the slap heard around the world. Why the hell's Will Smith mad? Everybody knows his wife fucked around on him, humiliated him, emasculated him on the international stage. When Chris Rock said something about the new G.I. Jane 2 or something, everybody saw it. Will Smith laughed. He thought it was funny. He looked over and saw Jada and was like, oh, I got to do something for the woman who's been fucking another guy. I'm sorry, had an entanglement. And went up there and slapped that poor man. Chris Rock's like 5'10", 5'9". But Will Smith's like 6'3". Probably has 50 pounds on him. That's just disgusting. But you know what? That's what women do. Just like the chick from Laverne. And I don't know if this Reddit read I'm about to do actually fits into it. I have a theory. Remember, I don't read these ahead. Just from looking at some stuff up ahead of it, because it's like the flat is paid for and you still pay rent. So I'm assuming it's in the UK because it's a flat. We'll find out hopefully as we go through. Thing is, just because you're living with the dude, if he owns the place, unless you're married to him, why wouldn't you be paying rent? If it was a woman and she owned it, and a man was living with her and she wanted him to pay rent, the entire woman verse would be like, well, yeah, he needs to pay half. Even though there's nothing. He has to pay fair rent. Again, I go back to that Jessica Simpson shit when she divorced Nick Lachey. The entire woman verse was out. He doesn't deserve a penny of her money. What happened with Bobby Brown? He turned his money trusting Whitney Houston's people. They lived off of his money their entire marriage. And when they got divorced, he had no money and he couldn't touch hers. That should have happened to a woman. You know what would have fucking happened. So anyway, let's go up into this. I'm going to get my comments unedited. Am I the asshole for not wanting to split expenses proportional to income? I live with my boyfriend in a flat he owns, fully paid off. His father gave it to him. The whole building was built 6 years ago. Nice to be in a good building. And is in a very popular area. I pay my boyfriend half the market rate rent, which we update every year by looking how much the flats are being rented out for in the building complex, which is a lot of money. I agreed to it. Other than this, we did everything else 50-50 in the past. Okay. I'm surprised she's not saying because I date you, I deserve half the apartment because I'm paying rent. I've seen that stupid shit before. I got a new job with a significant pay increase, and now my boyfriend says we should start splitting expenses proportional to income because that's fair. Okay, now I'm against the boyfriend because even if she doubled her salary, she doesn't have to pay 75% of the market rent. It's 50%. They share a bed, it's halfway down the middle. That's what I got right now. I told him I don't think it's fair that I should start paying for more just because I got a new job and nothing else changed. I already pay him rent, enough rent that would get me the same size flat a few streets away. So it's more than fair to him. Yes, it is. You see, I'm already changing my mind. I thought she was going to be complaining about something else. She is not complaining about paying him half rent. She has no problems with it. I'm actually liking this chick here. Well, I'm assuming it's a chick. From this day and age, it could be a dude. I don't know. I don't care. He made some, in my opinion, very weak arguments and accused me of ripping him off. That's when I told him that under no circumstances we will split expenses proportional to income. I agree on this, especially since he owns the place and he's getting the money for half the rent. Now that I've calmed down a bit, I'm worried whether I'm in the wrong, especially since my best friend told me that this is how they do it with her boyfriend too. And my boyfriend on the flat is irrelevant here. Am I the asshole? Her friend, well, it says her boyfriend. I'm going to assume it's a female. Here's the thing. The part that they're not saying is that friend, I guarantee you the boyfriend makes a hell of a lot more in a split proportion, so it makes sense to her. And to justify what's going on, she wants to tell her this shit. If this friend started making more money and started having to pay a higher proportion, all of a sudden she's going to change her mind. Guarantee it, sure as God made little green apples. Okay, so first comment. I tell him you're okay splitting expenses, proportional income, but rent is an expense you guys have to pay, so you'll no longer be paying him rent. That's cool. What are the rent's going to be the highest thing? They live in this trendy part. I'm assuming it's London again. I'm assuming it's the UK. So half the rent, if she stops paying half the rent and starts paying proportional, it'll probably be less than rent. Because what do most people pay for food? If she's paying for half of it, some utilities, what else is there? Rent, utilities, food. So no matter what, even if she was making 10 times more than him, which is doubtful, it's probably, maybe 50% more, twice as much. If you take rent out of it, no. For one thing, he shouldn't be asking, especially when she is paying him, I don't know. Rent, that's half of the market value. And they adjust it every year. I think everybody's all good here. You got lots of money, especially saying what she said about with the location. Exactly this, or at the very least, include the rent in his income. 6 and 1/2 a dozen the other. This is one of the reasons I never moved into a place that my partner outright owned and pay rent to them. We either own it together or rent it together, but I will not pay them rent, especially since where I'm from, you lose a lot of tenant protections if you live at the same address as your landlord. Okay, whatever. Probably the last one I read because there's a lot of them. Why are you paying rent to him if there's no mortgage payment or rent due? What does that matter? It's free market rent. So you're just giving him free money. No, she's paying for rent. If he moved out tomorrow, somebody would move in and they would pay him rent. And I do agree with the previous one. It should be included in his income if they do split stuff proportionally. I say this as someone who owns a house outright and has my SO living with me. They don't pay rent. I wouldn't dream of charging rent to them when I don't have to pay anything. Yes, you do pay, but this individual we split property taxes twice a year and that's it. There's more than property taxes to own in a house. It's property taxes, according to where you live, it could be HOA, and sometimes that can be hundreds of dollars. And there's insurance, and then there's upkeep of that house. It's like borrowing somebody's car and putting, driving it for a month and putting gas in it, return it with a full tank going like, I did something good for you. I returned it with a full tank. Yeah, you put 5,000 miles on it, and if I was to write this off in the IRS, I'd be able to write off $2,700. You put gas in it. There's use of things. Your boyfriend is using you. He's a blanked out leech. No. She gets to live in a trendy area. If she moved out tomorrow, she would still have to pay rent. Just like she said, she could pay rent a few blocks away. But a few blocks, what the hell does that mean? In a city like London, a few blocks could mean going from, the ivory towers to the ghetto. Here in Las Vegas, there's a place called Spanish Trails, and right across the street from Spanish Trails. So first of all, this is like multi-million-dollar homes. This is where Michael Jackson lived when he lived in Las Vegas. Right across the street from Spanish Trails is a trailer park, other side of Tropicana. And besides the trailer park, there is housing. We're just going to leave it at that. That is nowhere near the multi-millions of dollars of Spanish Trails. That's not even a block away. If you go from the edge of Spanish Trails to the edge of the trailer park, it's across the street. So saying something's a few blocks don't mean shit. And then, people gonna add that up. Oh, it's a few blocks. How many blocks? 22. So, those are my thoughts for the day. If anybody has some thoughts on my reading, or just to go deeper into just reading the longer ones, like most of these, I'm not a Reddit reading channel. Like most of the Reddit reading channels, maybe I'll just split it off, not put any exposition in, or leave the exposition to the back. Because, some of them do have their exposition, but it's at the very end instead of while they're reading. But that's all they do for a living. I do other stuff. Okay, hope you guys are enjoying it. Again, it amazes me folks are subscribing. I actually love you for subscribing. It's like, wow, I never intended a single person to subscribe. And people keep subscribing. I love it. So I like to try to find some way to bring you some kind of value where you want to come here. Maybe I'll specialize more. Maybe like do some more unboxings. Like I'm serious. I got a storage unit full of shit from everything. Closet full from top to bottom. My wife had to clean it out, just put the shit there. There's shit in the garage, taking up as much as a space. And like I told you, the living room is just full of shit right now. As a matter of fact, we never really had a living room. We put a pool table in there. Shit's under the pool table, on the pool table, on the side of the pool table. I can open up boxes for days. See y'all.